welcome our first speaker. This gentleman come from Indiana to be here with us today, Attorney Mick Harrison.
So my name is Mick Harrison. I am a public interest lawyer. I do mostly whistleblower protection. Have been doing that for 25 years. I also do government oversight work and environmental enforcement for citizens groups. I'm a part of a new organization. It's called Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, and 3 other lawyers on this panel with me are members of that relatively new organization. Our purpose is to provide legal expertise and resources to the 9/11 Truth and Justice movement as best we can. Our resources are limited at the moment, so don't immediately assume we can, file a bunch of lawsuits for you. But we are interested in making sure that the movement gets the benefit of legal expertise and that we use the legal tools available to promote 9/11 truth and justice as best we can. So what I've been asked to do is to basically put you through law school in 10 minutes, which I'll do my best to do, and then to summarize 14 years of litigation in 10 more minutes, and then to give you the solution to the problem in 5 minutes. And my colleagues will help supplement that with another 20 minutes or so. So, in short, some of the legal tools that are available to the movement, most of you know about the Freedom of Information Act, very valuable tool. It's one of the few laws that has been used with some success on this issue. So Mr. Green, who's with us, has done some successful FOIA work. David Cole, who's not here, who is my client, has done quite a bit of successful FOIA work on this issue. My colleagues in Bloomington, Indiana, with the 9/11 working group there, have done quite a few successful FOIAs. So our knowledge base has improved because of use of this law, and I continue to encourage people to use it. If you need help understanding how to use it, I'm happy to help if I can. The short and long of it is the government has 20 days upon your request to give you any documents in the control of a federal agency unless they're exempt by law. If they refuse, you can first file an administrative appeal, and if that doesn't work, you can go into federal district court and compel the production of the documents. The courts are pretty good about compelling production of documents unless they're truly exempt under the law. So keep this law in mind. In addition, as another tool, not as well known, the Information or Data Quality Act allows citizens to challenge a federal agency's technical work or their contractor's technical work as not using basically the best science available. And you can actually file an administrative appeal, and if they don't make the corrections that you and your scientists point out are needed, and obviously issues regarding the destruction of the buildings comes to mind on this category, you can actually bring a lawsuit to compel the agency to correct the data if they're using, for example, the wrong data, inadequate data, false data, misleading data. So keep that law in mind. There are also a number of whistleblower laws, too many for me to even list at the moment. But if you are someone who has inside information on what happened on 9/11, or if you know someone who does, depending on who they were employed by and the nature of their knowledge, they are protected by any one of a number of laws. For example, one of the other tools that really hasn't been used much on this issue is called the Federal False Claims Act. This federal statute is intended to protect the federal treasury from dishonest contractors who steal money from the federal government. Now, there have been a number of contracted studies done related to 9/11. If you or someone you know has knowledge that there was any dishonesty in the conduct of those studies, then it's possible that a suit could be brought under the False Claims Act. The way the law works is, if you prove up fraud or dishonesty, the court determines the amount of damages to the government, which can often be the money that was taken under false pretenses. That amount is tripled triple damages. That amount is paid back to the federal government. The plaintiff, which could be anyone, a whistleblower or a citizen with knowledge, keeps a percentage of the money recovered as a reward or a bounty provision. That percentage is typically 20 to 25% of the amount after it is tripled, which in the case of multi-million-dollar contract can be a sizable amount of money. This law has been used for the past 20-some years. Billions of dollars have been recovered for the federal treasury. So keep that tool in mind. Now, it has a whistleblower protection provision. So if you or someone you know worked for one of these contractors, and if they disclose dishonesty in the performance of the study and they get fired, they can sue under this protection, get their job back, double back pay, attorney's fees, and so forth. And there are too many whistleblower protections to mention, but if you know someone who has been retaliated against or is in fear of retaliation, get them in touch with a lawyer who knows this area of law, because there are protections out there. In addition, most of you know that family members of the victims and the first responders in separate class actions have litigated for money damages, and they've recovered hundreds of millions of dollars have been paid for those type of class actions. That's another tool that's out there. One other tool I'll mention, in addition to ones that I'm sure have heard about, like civil and constitutional rights claims. If in one of these prior litigations, some of which we're about to talk about, evidence comes forward that there was dishonesty during the litigation, and one of the parties lied to the federal court, usually this is federal court, there is a body of law which allows the case to be reopened based on fraud upon the court. So you shouldn't assume that because the case has been litigated and lost, that it's over if you can prove, or someone can prove, that there was fraud involved in the litigation. So just keep that in mind. Okay, now I want to talk briefly about some of the litigation that has happened.